healing, diagnostic tools, energy medicine, the future of who we are as an evolving human species. This and more we will talk about today on ATP Media with the gorgeous and delicious Desda Zuckerman, who has been on the show years ago. We were talking about it 8 years ago before. One of the most amazing energy healers and psychics I've ever had on the show. So I'm excited for today's show. Hope you are too. Stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Big blessings to everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. You're listening to Karen Swain on ATP Media, awakening and expanding consciousness on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, syndicated radio on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, all over the place, streaming on quite a few internet platforms today. And my guest for today's show is the wonderful and beautiful Desda Zuckerman. Welcome to the show, Desda.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much. It's really great to be back with you, and congratulations on how much your work has grown and how out there you are. I really am impressed and so proud of you. So well
darling
done.
One. Darling one, I just have to recognize the gorgeous goddesses that are online, the beautiful Heidi, who is such a fan of many of the shows on the network. I see her all over the place. Hi, Heidi. And the gorgeous Shirley from Canada. Such a lovely day for this conversation. Hello from Canada. And Venus. Hello, Venus. Few people popping online. Look, it's just such a blessing to have you back on the show. Honestly, as I said, I've had many healers and New World teachers and psychics and extraordinary people, starseeds, what do we want to call it? Indigos, light workers, light weavers on the show. But there are a few in my little group that are really extraordinary, and you are one of them. You are one of them. And so I'll just let me read. Sorry, I'm just trying to navigate all these people online. I've just got to kick a few people off out of the studio. I'm sorry that the wrong link went out and we've just got people joining. Please go to if you are joining on this in the studio, please go to the YouTube link to watch the live. We're streaming on Facebook, Karen Swain on Facebook, and my YouTube channel and the United Public Radio YouTube channel, and we're also on Rumble and Odyssey, lots of places that we can watch the live. And let me tell you a little bit about Desda. I'm going to read your bio.
Right.
Born an intuitive with extraordinary clairvoyant, clairsentient, and clairaudient abilities, Desda has made an in-depth study of the subtle energies she has witnessed around all living things. What began as a personal quest for understanding blossomed into a comprehensive mapping of the human energy anatomy and its precise application. This has been distilled into sacred anatomy energy medicine, an international healing modality. Desda spent the better part of her life working to understand and use her abilities, which led her to work in the field of psychic awareness and research, where she observed and mapped the human energy and spiritual energy anatomy. She was a well-known Californian trance medium and professional psychic for 17 years until she retreated to refocus her energy and concentrate on inner growth in 1986. She's also had a separate career as a professional singer, along with her husband, Bob, in San Francisco Bay Area in the late 60s, retiring in 1998. A master dowser, She became one of the top space clearers and earth workers in the world before redirecting her attention to work exclusively with the health and well-being of people and the human energy structure. And you must have seen a lot of things evolve over the years, like with this. Have you, when witnessing the human energy structure, have you seen that changing en masse, or is it sort of staying the same?
Well, that is a great question, because not many people have even asked me that question. That's a real good one. Because I have seen people's structures evolving. The more awake they get to their own subtle reality, their own subtle self, the more intense the colors of their field are, the more clean the energy becomes, the more awake to the bigger picture of what human beings are. Seems to establish a kind of clarity in the energy structure.
Wow.
So that's something I have watched happen over, 30 years here.
30, yeah. And as the light weavers, light workers, starseeds, as I said, as we evolve, as we go to master teachers like you and we learn to manage our field and manage our mood and shift our energy structure, critical mass sort of takes over, and it tends to sort of populate through the human populace, don't you think? Is that how it works?
We share a field. We share the sacred anatomy has a field that it exists in. And if you're familiar with Sheldrake's idea of morphic fields, there is a field that we share as people become awake and aware of the sacred anatomy, that it seems to be a communication zone or a field of awakening or awareness, a way that we all are able to kind of track each other. But beyond that, there's also sort of the human energy structure field, the field of awakening consciousness, because actually the sacred anatomy is the energy of consciousness. It's the subtle energy. In my work, I suggest that there are 5 quantum energies, not 4. Commonly accepted are strong force, weak force, electromagnetic, and gravity. Those are the 4 quantum energies that are accepted. And it's my belief, and really what I teach, that subtle energy, or the energy of what we could think of as consciousness, which is outside of the brain, outside of the sort of the mechanics of humanity, it's a much larger energetic, and it's one that we all share. So as human beings become more sophisticated, more awakened, are exposed to more tech, but also exposed to more creative ideas and more spiritually awakened ideas. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people now that are meditating and praying every day and setting time aside for quiet. And those people are all sharing this consciousness field. So in the consciousness field, we are awake to each other. And that is what's changing. So that's what we can think of as the awakening field.
Beautiful.
And that's where it's happening. And it is not electromagnetic in nature. It is subtle energy in nature. So it's beyond the electromagnetic impact of the physical body, because the physicality creates, because of the heart and the brain and the firing in the cells, it creates this wonderful thing people think of as the human aura. And it's an electromagnetic field. But when we physically die, that electromagnetic field dissipates. It stops. The subtle and sacred anatomy, which is larger than that and contains that, continues. So we have this marvelous capacity, really, to be bigger than we think we are, more than we think we are, and to have a kind of eternal quality, which explains in many ways past life memories and in fact, gives us an idea that time, in fact, doesn't really go in this linear way, but actually turns in a kind of a spiral, so that as we're moving through it, our subtle and sacred self is aware of all ourselves, all of our beingness. I'm going to ask all the people that we sent the wrong link to please go to the correct link, which was sent out as an email to you just a few minutes ago. So many apologies to the lovely Karen, who has been so gracious, but we gave out the wrong email. So sorry.
Yes. For those people trying to jump on the StreamYard link, please don't use the StreamYard link. This is the studio just for us.
Yeah.
We are live on YouTube, Facebook, as I say, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and lots of platforms where you can watch the live and speak to us in the chat. So, Julia, thanks for popping in. I see you trying to pop in, but this is the wrong link, so I'm going to kick you out yet again and hopefully go to the YouTube link. Thanks so much. All right, well, let's get into your story, because we've had Desda on the show before. I think I first met Desda back in 2016 through somebody that came out here to Australia, Michael, who's one of your students, and he introduced me. He said, "Oh, my spiritual mentor is Desda Zuckerman," and I'm like, "Let me check out Desda Zuckerman," and I'm like, "Gosh, she looks amazing. Let's get her on the show." So we have had but for the new audience that are listening on syndicated radio, and please let me know if you're listening to the live or afterwards, put your comments in the comments and let me know what you think. Or if you're listening on radio, send me an email, go to clairaudient.com and let me know what you think. But Desda has an amazing story, born aware, but that awareness shifted somewhat when you were a child. Let's hear what happened.
Well, I always could see. So I was born a clairvoyant, but my clairvoyant abilities were what I would call moderate or mild even. And what I saw were pretty soft pastels around things. And, I talked to angels and fairies and had lots of invisible friends. And, that kind of was my early childhood. In fact, I just wrote a book recently called Magical Beings of the Natural World about my fairy stories, because I had so many fairy friends. But anyway, I went all over the world with my parents, and we were spending an Easter in New York, and we traveled everywhere in our Volkswagen bus. This was 1964 when I was 14 years old. And my mom was driving us from Easter, Good Friday services home. And I had fought with my brothers to get the middle seat, and I was leaning against the door, and the doggone door flew open as my mother went around a curve. And out I went, flipped over, and landed on my head, which knocked me out. And the very last thing I saw before I was knocked unconscious was a raven sitting at the top of a telephone pole with its eye cocked to the side. And it was surrounded by this pale lavender light. And I saw this raven as I was flying through the air. And when I hit the ground, became unconscious. The next thing I knew, I was being lifted into the car, and everyone was telling me I would be all right, but I was pretty beat up. And that changed everything, because when I opened my eyes from having been unconscious, I looked up and saw my younger brother leaning over me. And he was surrounded by intense, vibrant energy, so much so that I could barely see through him.
Wow.
I could barely see it. His face was hidden by all this energy. And so after about 4 years, I taught myself to see again, because nobody thought there was anything wrong with me. And I kept asking people to explain what was going on. And my minister didn't know, and my doctor didn't know, and my mother didn't know, and nobody knew. So after a while, I just started mapping what I was looking at. And I realized at a certain point that there was a consistency in what I was seeing. And so at 14, I began to do drawings and I began to write about what was happening. So when people would get really activated, the colors around them would change, but it was the electromagnetic energy that would be very vibrant and very bright if they were angry. But the sacred anatomy, what was further out, didn't get that way. So by the time I was in my early 20s, I was pretty functional. I was doing pretty well. I had a heck of a time going from 14 to 18 or 20. That was a tough period because I couldn't see things the way other people did. And I had to learn how to dissect the energy that I was seeing. So I determined that it was energy, which is kind of amazing, actually. And then I determined that if I concentrated on people's faces, I could move the energy aside and their face would come forward. So that's what I did for a long time, was just concentrate on the person that was in front of me. And then after a while, I'd concentrate on their torso, and then I'd concentrate on the room I was in. And then, so I began to have this dissection ability, which in and of itself was, there was a certain amount of fear that was involved, because it was scary to see so much. But I was so kind of invested in figuring it out and being able to function that I began to see patterns over time. And through my life, the patterns that I saw, it became clear that I was looking at very consistent patterns around people, that it was consistently the same. It wasn't different for each person. And the fact that the electromagnetic field was different in color, it was the only part that was different in color. And I began to distinguish the electromagnetic field from the subtle field very quickly. That happened pretty early on. So I was mapping the subtle field, and then I was also mapping the electromagnetic field. Now, at a certain point, I discovered, spiritual bookstores, and I started to go into them, and I began to see Madame Blavatsky's books, and I saw Hughie Ledbetter's books, and all these people who had been sort of spiritualists and had mapped something of the subtle anatomy. I discovered Hildegard von Bingen, who had done these pictures of fields around people. And so over time, I was really looking back into the history of spiritualism, the history of the subtle and the psychic. And I was virtually alone. I knew no one else that had anything like what had happened to me happened to them. Yeah. So time passed. I got older. Lots and lots of things happened. And ultimately, I got married. I moved to San Francisco. It was the 60s. It was a lot of fun. I started singing rock and roll and R&B and jazz and everything, pretty much, whatever came along. And I had a really interesting time of it because I was very much afraid of people. So here I was, a singer, and I was safe on the stage, but I didn't want to get off the stage because the people were scary, because of how they looked. So I slowly but surely became less and less afraid of people. And one of the things that made me less afraid of people was learning about light and learning about focused intention and the ability to direct light. And I learned this from a woman named Gail Pierce, who was the closest thing to a teacher that I had. I took one class with her, and she was a little old lady, probably about my age now. And, a little old lady, right? And she had walked through Tibet when she was young. She was very, not just acquainted with the Dalai Lama, but friends with the Dalai Lama. When he came to the United States, he stayed with her sometimes. And when she would go to one of his lectures, he would say, "Welcome, Mother, please sit beside me on the dais." She was very well respected and loved. And Dr. Gale had learned how to do this thing called the rainbow lights. And so I learned how to do the rainbow lights. And now I'm carrying the lineage of the rainbow lights. And it's an amazing series of lights that you bring in. So that was my first introduction to, oh, you can actually interact with this stuff and change it.
Uh-huh.
So I saw the ability to change things with white light, but the problem with white light is then it got really dark again. So we needed to have something else. There needed to be more, because the white light attracted essentially ghosts, entities, and, go into the light.
Okay.
You saw that, right? So I don't ever teach anybody to just bring in white light.
Oh,
I teach
really?
them to bring in different colors.
Oh, because I
Like
use the
gold.
white light.
Yeah.
I use the white light. A lot of white and gold. I use a lot. Yeah.
Lots of people use the white light, and lots of people have entities.
Oh.
I don't recommend it. So,
Okay,
so
that's so
I'm
interesting.
a bit of a heretic, Karen. I am a heretic. I'm not a new age person. I'm kind of an old age person because I grew up in a family where my grandmother read the tarot deck. My great grandmother did table tipping and tea leaf reading, and there was a heritage in my family of psychics. And so when I started to describe this stuff to my mom, she said, well, that's just, your psychic abilities are kicking in. And I was like, no, I think I got hit on the head. That's what happened. So it was different than anybody in my family. I was more intensely gifted in some ways.
Well, you say you're not a new age person. I think you're a new age person. I think
future age, maybe.
A future age, definitely. I think that eventually humanity will evolve to your level of understanding and we'll all use it. But I honestly don't see that happening for a few generations. Maybe
probably
we'll
about 100 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's where we're going. And, there's the evolution of medical apparatus that is actually inspired from galactic consciousness, giving us sort of devices to look into the human body, the physical apparatus. But I remember asking, why, if I can look into the human energy field, why aren't we learning about this? And like humanity's, at large, not ready for that yet. We're still using technology to do it. And the technology will one day be our consciousness. But let me ask you.
It is now.
Well, it is now, but we don't know. For the most part, the majority of humanity don't know it. Right, exactly. But let me ask you, when you were hit on the head and you could see all the bright colors, which would sort of cover up the face, and did you see that all the time, or could you turn it off and turn it on?
It's never off.
So do you still see that when you look at people? You see all the colors around everybody?
When I'm looking at you, I see the entire sacred anatomy.
Wow.
And I had to figure out that there were 7 systems, and I had to figure out what was in the systems because there was so much information. I compare it to a tsunami because it was completely overwhelming.
Michael Lee says here, besides getting hit on the noggin, hilarious. You Australian? Any safe way to improve clairvoyance?
I think the safest way to improve clairvoyant sight is mental quiet, actually, and allowing what's there to present itself, because it will reveal itself. I've had many, many students who've become quite clairvoyant just by getting quiet and allowing it to rise up. And there is something about being around somebody like me who sees at this level. It is inspiring, and it does help other people kind of open those gates. There's this whole thing about it's the third eye that's open, but it's much, much more than that. It's neurological, and it has to do with not just the third eye as it connects into the pituitary, but also has to do with the pineal. So the pineal and the pituitary together help clairvoyance increase. And there's other parts of the brain that are connected.
Alison says here, thank you so much. I've always known about the white light for protection, etc. And in my NDA, I never went to the white light, but always to see a sea of color. I thought it was just me.
It's not just you, sweetheart.
You. Yeah.
It's not just you. Look for the gold. Always look for the gold.
What does Mish say here? She wants you to come out and hang out with her.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now, baby.
Mish is in Australia, so you'll have to come to Australia. So, okay, so when you said that it's not just the third eye, it's the pineal, the pituitary. You're seeing through your physical eyes the energy structure. You're not, because I don't see through my physical eyes energy structure except for just the white light around everything. Like I don't see colors, but I can see everything through my third eye. But you're not saying you're seeing it through your outside eyes, right?
Yeah, I see it with both.
Right.
So the way I dissect is I think to myself, I'd like to see more of the bones of light. I then close my eyes and I see an immediate, image. And then I open my eyes and I look more deeply and the bones of light come forward. So it's because it's the energy of consciousness. We can speak to it. We can call it forth. That's something we have to realize, is that the entire universe is conscious. Yeah. And it's a matter of us actually having enough guts to stand up and say, I'm in relationship with you, consciousness and universe. And I stand shoulder to shoulder in partnership with divine source. I am that. We all have at our center a core. Let's look at one of the pictures from, it's not in my book. It's going to be in the second edition, which should come out in another, 10 years.
Well, before Cheryl
depends on how much time it takes.
Before Cheryl adds, this is actually Desda's book. She's written a second book, which I didn't say in there, but Your Sacred Anatomy is the most beautiful. Desda sent it to me. It's the most beautiful, huge book with full color of all that she's talking about. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. But she's got some images she wants to share. Do you want to?
Let's see the jewel. So my assistant Cheryl is helping us. So here's a picture of what everybody looks like. Everybody looks this beautiful. Everybody does.
It's absolute for people listening. Sorry, people listening on radio. What we're looking at, it's almost like an opal, but then some. It's just full of, like, it's a round energy field, but full of color. I remember Howard Storm, when I had him on the show years ago. I had an NDE. Howard's in his 70s, late 70s now, when he was in his 30s, and he said that he met some angels and he's never seen anything on earth that looked like them except for opals, was the thing that reminded him of the angels he saw. And this is what this image looks like for people. It looks like an incredible opal. Anyway, go on, explain it.
So we have every color in the rainbow in our subtle anatomy. And this is a picture of the soul layer. And the soul layer is the furthest out in our sacred anatomy. And it is radiating a golden light out of its vibrancy, really, and running from the top of our structure, which is about 20 feet above your head, all the way right straight through your spine and down below your feet, another 20 feet. Is a thing called the core. You see, we're much larger than we know we are. And we impact the world dramatically. We impact every space we're in. We impact every person we meet. And even people that we don't intend to impact, we impact.
Right.
Running right straight through the front of your body, coming from about 20 feet in front of you, through a little bit either above or below the belly button, is a thing called the channel. And the channel is related to and has a sensibility of like an umbilicus. The belly button has this cord, and astral projectors will talk about the silver cord. So that's where it is. It's right on top of this channel. And we never get rid of it. It is always there, and it runs along the entire channel, which goes from front to back and is probably another like 45 feet from the front to the back of it. So we're huge energetically. We have the capacity to be huge.
Yeah.
We also adapt. So if I'm in a closet, for example, I'm not going 20 feet out in all directions. I'm getting as small as the closet. I'm coming way, way in. Now, the way that this beautiful soul layer gets the way it is that the energies of the core individuate. So first, you have to understand that the core is essentially the divine within. Nothing can ever bend it, break it, cut it, damage it. It's perfect and it's whole. And it goes from way above you to way below you. And that core is made up of 3 different colors: red, yellow, and blue. The red is at the center, and it's essentially a purpose current. The blue is on your right side, and the gold is on your left. Now, those are the 3 primary colors, right? And that's what we have in our core and in our channel, which is essentially made of the same stuff. So when the core and the channel meet in the nascent formation of a subtle anatomy of the soul, the birth of the soul, these 2 currents of light, which are a direct expression of divine source coming to consciousness, realizing I am. In that moment of I am, there's an explosion of awareness. And that awareness looks like our core and our channel. As they intersect, there's this explosion at the center of us. Right there in the middle of your body is this thing called the Grand Cross. And it has to do with the core and the channel. In the moment that the Grand Cross happens, an individuation occurs, and we begin to form as co-creative individuals. We begin to form a sacred anatomy, an anatomy that's essentially a reflection of the power of our reaction to divine source and our own identity, because it is the crossing of the core and the channel that wakes us up and tells us we are.
We are. Wow, there's a couple of questions here. Mish, I think, wanted to know, does it always look like this, or does it change, dull, get dull, etc. if you're struggling?
It looks pretty much like that all the time. What dulls up if you're struggling is your electromagnetic field. Now, your electromagnetic field is basically your chi field, and it's right around your physical body. It should only be about 4 feet out, but most people like to really expand and flop all over everybody. So they're out 10, 15 feet, and that is exhausting. So if you really learn how to use your electromagnetic field correctly, you're learning how to use your own chi, and that's the part of you that gets dull, gets beat up. Now, the sacred anatomy has this soul layer, right? And the soul layer is individuated currents of your own expression. So these individuated currents peel off of the core. So individuation, as Carl Jung defined it, was peeling off from your mother, right?
Right.
This is peeling off from the source. And we become a sacred anatomy out of those 3 energies peeling off at the top of the structure in a thing called the fountainhead. So it's quite amazing.
So
there's a picture of it.
Let me get this straight. So the electromagnetic field is the chi energy. So that is the field that you're feeling when you're feeling tired or energized, right? You feel
a lot of the times, yes.
Electromagnetic field and your energy. So that's because I've seen this healer, you've probably seen it too, it went viral in Indonesia, combine his chi. He said he used the chi from his base chakra and then his navel chakra and the masculine and the feminine, and he brought it together and he projected. And he's one of those people that can stop bullets, create fire, what do you call it? Like manipulate the energy, the electro energy in people's systems, makes their body move and all that. But he said he was using chi, so that's the electromagnetic field. Is
yes,
that
it's like a qigong master,
right? Yeah,
and what you're doing when you're stopping a bullet is you're using your own personal chi to interact with matter, right?
Right.
So Paramahansa Yogananda says we are nothing more than congealed light. Matter is nothing more than congealed light. So he's congealing the light and directing it to stop a bullet, to whatever, do whatever. That is an electromagnetic function. It is different than the sacred anatomy.
Yeah, that's different to the sacred anatomy.
Yeah. And that's great. I mean, people need to know how to learn that, how to use that. But the problem we have with some of these people is that they don't have a boundary of what is appropriate and inappropriate. And there's a kind of breakdown, and they end up impacting everybody in the room because they got to get really, really big to get really, really focused, to get really powerful. And so what they're doing is they're using your chi in the room as well. Not cool.
Fascinating.
I don't approve of that.
You don't approve of it. Desda doesn't approve of it, right?
I don't approve of it. I think if I'm going to use your chi, I should at least ask your permission.
Well, I think there are a lot of people in the world that do unconsciously know how to use energy to dominate, to control, to manipulate people. And
exactly.
They probably don't even know what they're doing. And then there are people that are victims to that, and they don't know what they're doing too. So we're all walking around in the dark feeling like we're controlling or being victimized. And when we understand our human energy field, none of that happens anymore, right? And we all stand in our power.
It becomes less possible.
Right.
Because you have a more awakened understanding of not just who you are, but how you are in relationship to others. So I developed a skill set for being in the world as a subtle person, a subtle being. And I teach people, I've taught people for years how to do this thing called going to the edge, which is now being taught by my students. And it's a wonderful skill that allows you to take ownership of the power of your sacred and subtle anatomy and contain your own chi field. Literally bring your chi field in. Right, most people who do healing work are using their electromagnetic field inappropriately. They're using it to manipulate.
Absolutely.
Even if it's nice, even if it's for good, it's wrong.
When I studied Reiki a million years ago, as a young naturopathic student, I would channel energy, and I'm sure I was probably doing it wrong. It's probably not what the Reiki masters were teaching, but I was probably using my electromagnetic field, and it was exhausting. And then I stopped doing that. I stopped laying my hands on people and just started to talk to the guides and just witness, just like talk to them and witness what was happening.
That's correct.
But I didn't feel like I was channeling anything into them anymore, which was a whole different.
That's good.
Yeah, but we've got a couple of questions here. Charlotte wants you to offer an example of how to use energy in daily life. Do you want to do that now or later?
Well, I mean, there's so many examples that I could give. How to use energy in daily life. Take ownership of who you are. That's the number one. Be awake to the truth, which is you're more than you think you are. You're bigger than you think you are. And you're more awake than you think you are. Most people see themselves as victims, honestly, especially sensitives. There's this whole thing about being an empath, and everybody, I got news for you. Everybody's empathic, it's not special. So if you're going around saying I'm an empath, therefore I'm in pain, that's nuts. So you need to learn how to not be nuts in relationship to your own sensitivity. And the way that I teach people to do that is with information. So to become more informed about who you are takes you out of the category of special and puts you into the category of powerful.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. Get my book, read it.
Just say that again. The more I teach people about who they are, takes you out of the category of special and puts you in the category of powerful. Oh, that makes me cry, Desda.
Oh, man, baby.
Oh, man, baby.
Oh, man, baby.
Oh, my God. Makes me cry.
Yeah.
And Moby says he thinks some people are more sensitive than others. Yes.
Yeah, right.
True.
Okay, that's nice. Some people are girls, some people are boys, you know, some people are this, some people are that. Some people are more sensitive than others. Yes. Some people are also mentally imbalanced. So it is extremely important to really understand that this is an innate human skill, that we all have it. We are all psychic and subtle.
Look,
and
I'm
we
into
are
that.
all attuned to the inner truth of who we are, which is we are that which is evolving. We are the divine source within us. We are evolving ourselves. So if we think of ourselves as special or more sensitive than others, or I'm hypersensitive, you know, it's like this is making yourself an infant. This is making yourself very small. So I'm a big proponent of let's be big, let's be tough, and let's kick some butt, you know? I mean, what is the deal here? We are the most awakened people on the planet, us sensitives. Why are we going around going, right?
Oh, Moby, don't feel attacked. He says he feels attacked. We know you're sensitive.
Take a breath, baby. Take a breath.
I don't think you're not sensitive. You're powerful. Yeah, you got to change the story.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, we have felt so vulnerable because we've been misunderstood. And I say we because that's me too. So Moby, look, I'm just speaking truth. Yeah, let go of special. Let go of I'm unique. Let go of all of that. And step into I am awake.
I am awake.
Because wow, you know.
Mish says here that her mother-in-law is unwell, a deathbed. And she used Reiki with permission, but honestly, I had been drained. That makes sense. Thank you.
If you're bringing Reiki energy through your own body and you're sending it into your mother-in-law, you're giving your own chi away. So the only way to do, good job, Mish. The only way to do Reiki correctly is to witness it coming from divine source directly in. And step back, literally be a witness of the truth. Yeah.
I had a woman
we don't have to make ourselves martyrs. I mean, this was the healer for centuries, right? I mean, even in ancient indigenous cultures, the darned healers had to live outside of the community because they took on all the insanity. They took on all the disease. They took on everything, and they died young. They didn't last long because they were taking it on for the 150 people in the little, clutch in the little city, the little town. The truth of the matter is that's done. We are no longer here to be victims of other people's needs. We are here to stand in the power of what we are, which is the awakened consciousness of humanity. So don't bother feeling attacked. Don't bother feeling triggered. Don't bother getting hung up on your process. Let go of some of that stuff, because the psychologization of humanity has been, okay, it's great, it's very nice, but we are stepping beyond that. We can no longer be defined as special. We've got to be defined as the future.
It's powerful, the human evolution. I think, look, this story, this paradigm of the sensitives, the empaths. Sensitive is also a gift, absolutely. As a kinesiologist, I had to do
It's great to be
sometimes
awake,
surrogate for
you know?
clients, and this helped me. But yeah, this story of it's so huge within the healing light workers community. I see it all the time, being victim to their sensitivity, and it is a story that needs to change. And I had Kai Dickens on the show recently from the telepathy tapes. Have you tuned into any of the telepathy tapes? All these nonverbal.
I've heard about them, and I haven't had a chance. I've heard about them through the autistic community, which is a community
autistic
I work
nonverbal
with.
children who are incredibly psychic. They all communicate telepathically. Not one of them is feeling victimized by their abilities, their sensitivities. And I mean, maybe they are, maybe I get that wrong, but from what I've listened to so far, I haven't heard that that feeling oversensitive. And they amazing where we're going. But where's that beautiful image that Cheryl had up before that we didn't really that
the soul layer?
Yeah.
Let's look at the soul layer again. That's what I call it, the jewel, because it really does look like a jewel. So we're all, essentially we're all floating in space,
No, the other image that she had up of it was a different image. The last image that you put up.
I don't know. What was it? The core in the channel?
Yeah, the core.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Cheryl. If you've got that at your fingertips.
No. Anyway, we'll talk about this one.
So greatly. Oh, well, here you can see the core in the channel within the context of the layers system. So this might look more familiar to people. This is a little bit like some of the stuff that Blavatsky mapped, and certainly some of the things that Edgar Cayce mapped, and some of these folks who were doing really what you could consider kind of breakthrough translation work. And but these are the layers, and this is the part of the structure that I think of as the organs of the sacred anatomy. And so there are 8 layers, and the core and the channel you can see running through the physical body, which is, by the way, one of the layers. So the bio layer is at the center of this, what looks kind of like a wonderful nougaty candy, and right at the center is the soft and delicious bio layer. And around it are all the different layers that come out and radiate out. And all those layers are created by the energies in the soul layer, which is, believe it or not, the first thing to form. The soul layer is the first thing to form. The core of the channel, the soul layer, and then the 4 aspects come forward.
So when you say form, when a human body is being created, the soul layer of the human.
No, not a human body.
Not a human body. Oh, okay.
When a soul is individuating.
Oh, okay.
So this is like maybe 100,000, 200,000 years old.
Okay.
Right. If you're going to measure in linear time, we're
so
really old.
The soul layer is the outer layer, which for people listening on radio is like this kaleidoscope of swirling, dynamic colors of magenta and indigo and hot, like green and pink and delicious. It's delicious.
Every color there is.
Every color.
Because the energies are crossing each other, and in the moment of crossing, they create a third energy. So blue and red cross, they create purple, and the purple is yet something different. So that the soul layer is basically the fuel tank of the sacred anatomy, and it fuels the development of the sacred anatomy. It fuels the amazing energetic that comes forth out of our relationship with the source, which is at our very, very deep core. Somebody asked a little minute ago, how do you increase your clairvoyant abilities? Become really clear about your core. Get really clear about that core within you. Touch it, feel it. Use your light fingers to touch that core. Extend your light fingers and simply go into your physical body, above the heart and below the throat. Kind of right where the thymus is, pretty safe place to go in. And if you go in there, you can touch your own core. And if you touch your own core, it begins to react. it starts to expand. And that's your real power right there. It does look like jawbreaker candy. You're right.
Moby
I like
says
that,
basically.
Moby. Moby, you're cute. I like Moby. Great name too. Let's look at something else that people are really into, which is chakras, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Cheryl, let's see a picture of, the larger system of the blended energy system. So there are 7 systems. There's the layers, which are the organs. There's the template, which is the nervous system. The blended energy system, which is cardiovascular, then there's the bones of light, which are like the skeleton. There's the elimination system, which releases attachment and waste. And then there's the electromagnetic field, which is very important because it acts as a bridge between subtle and material. And then there's the harmonizing network. And the harmonizing network is a little bit like neurotransmitters, and it's a sound network that actually holds us together. So this is a picture of the incoming currents that form in the inner edge of the soul layer. So they form in the soul layer, and these triple current streams are trying to return to the core. So the impetus is always to return to the core. So remember, I was talking about how they split off from the core, they split off above, and then they form the soul layer. They organize themselves into exact duplicates of the core, and they drive towards the core. This triple current stream drives towards the triple current stream of the core, and the energies try to meet there. And all kinds of stuff happens. So there's an incoming soul pathway that's generic. It isn't identified with one chakra or another. It's just trying to go to the core. And then when it gets to the beginning of the chakra, it goes through a part of it, the beginning at the most outer part of the chakra. It's called an intentionality. So there's an intention that's set, and that's the first inkling that the energy that's coming in has to do with, oh, this is the throat chakra, or oh, this is the heart chakra. Then there's an incredible inspiration of what happens at the core, which I'll show you in a minute. And then the energies are kicked out at the back. And at the back, now they're a chakra stream, because they've been informed. They've gone through intention. They've been formed by the core, which is like going to college. You get educated and then you're kicked back out into the system of humanity. And there goes the energy as it is leaving. It goes into this warm receptivity where everything is blended. That's why we call it the blended energy system. And then as it leaves, it is the current of the throat chakra or the current of the heart chakra. And then it goes back to the soul layer and it dissipates. It goes into the soul layer and it becomes part of the fuel. So your fuel isn't just these 3 individuated energies that are crossing each other, but it's also all 13 chakras, the wisdom, the purpose, and the function of all 13 chakras going into the soul layer to inspire it. And then there's other energies that come in, source energies like the golden light of wisdom and truth, which is this powerful energy that comes in. Now let's look at this wonderful picture, which is the anatomy of a chakra. Everybody talks about those swirling things. Well, that's electromagnetic. Those are the electromagnetic chakras.
Okay.
This is a subtle energy chakra. Electromagnetic chakras cover the subtle energy chakras. They're overlaid. They're kind of they're like a younger brother, if you will.
So say that again, the electromagnetic chakras, which is what people describe as swirling energy.
Yeah, the rosette, the rosette that's
overlays the subtle energy chakras.
Yeah, it comes, it's created because the subtle energy touches the physicality at a connector. And that's what those little like ligament looking things on the side are. Those are connectors, and they connect into the physicality. So when the subtle connects to the physical, there's a like explosion of awareness. And in that moment, we experience the formation of the what we could call the reflective chakras, which are part of the electromagnetic field. And those are the ones that stop spinning, and, you know, people do all kinds of stuff to them.
When people are sick. Yeah.
Well,
I remember I had.
But this is underneath that.
This is underneath.
This is underneath that. And
so
at the front, you see, sorry?
So if you're aware of this subtle energy, and you work on that level, it directly affects the electromagnetic field, which then again populates into the physical field, because it's all energy. Like when we're talking, you know, subtle energy and the physicality, we're still talking subtle energy and denser energy, or maybe it's faster flowing energy and slower flowing energy.
The 5 energies. We're talking electromagnetic, we're talking gravity. So there's weight, right? We're talking strong force and weak force, which is like, you know, black holes and all that exciting stuff. But here's subtle energy, which is truly the energy of universal cosmic consciousness. And that's what we're made of. We're made of that. And it's in and around every cell in our body. We have a subtle energy component that is inside of the electromagnetic.
Whew, I just closed my eyes and I was traveling down a wormhole.
Well, they're there.
Got to keep my eyes open. You're transporting me to another dimension, Desda.
That happens. It definitely happens. So my students will tell you. So at the front here, you see this kind of bulbing out from the core, which is at the center, the core which is going down, and the channel, which is not the channel, but the chakra current is going this way. So the energy going down is spiraling one way, and the energy coming in is spiraling another way. So when they interact at the core, the energy coming in is trying its best to unify with the core, but it can't because it's spiraling differently. So what happens is there's a moment of implosion and explosion. It's called a toroidal explosion or a toroidal implosion. And that's what's happening. So the subtle physics basically set us up for this explosion in 13 locations in our subtle anatomy. And that's what people refer to as the generator of the chakra. And it's actually energy is being generated, and the information that was trying to come through is kicked out. It's sent out, but it's been informed by the core. So it's like it's seen God. So that energy leaves very inspired, but not succeeding at what it wanted to do, which was to essentially go back to the source. I mean, look at it, how we are. We're always trying to get home, you know, like we're always trying to go. Yeah. We want to go back to God, back to the beginning, back to the source, back. We want to try to find it. And that's one of the things that happens when we allow ourselves to understand that we didn't have to go anywhere, that it's right here.
It's right here. Yeah, exactly. I have to do a station ID break. This has just been You're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio, hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms. And thank you for subscribing. My guest today is Desda Zuckerman, who sees the energetic field, the human anatomy, the energetic structure of the human anatomy. And we have been discussing it today on the show. It is quite complicated, but incredibly beautiful and wonderful and magic. So yeah, where were we? We were talking about the structure of the chakras, and if that central line on the last, not the last slide, but the slide that we had before that central line that goes through all the different layers, is that called the Sushumna? I've heard some people call that the Sushumna.
Well, there's the Ida, the Pingala, the Sushumna, right? And the Ida and the Pinga are essentially like a caduceus. Can we see a picture of the caduceus?
All right.
No, not that one, honey. Can you show me the caduceus?
She's working on it.
She's literally looking at around 500 illustrations, trying to get the exact one that I'm asking her to find. So
well, while Cheryl's looking for it, let's talk about your latest book, because you've written another book.
I did.
Let's talk about that. Show us, what's it called?
I wrote a book called Magical Beings of the Natural World, and it's about fairies, elves, nature spirits, devas, and elementals. And in it, there is like a whole definition of what they are, but we immediately talk about calling on magical beings. And I talk about how to alter your consciousness to awaken to that, lift your frequency, part the veil, make the call, and then wait attentively for a response. And then how do you speak to a magical being? And I tell you how to, thanks. How to do that with all of them. So this is our page of, things that are for sale on my site. But here's the Natural Beings book. It's really a fun book. And it's just a short little book. And I put all of my fairy stories in it. I talk about, seeing fairies and talking to them and having a relationship with various fairies and spirit animals. And Cheryl's showing you our website.
Yeah, I
thank you, Cheryl.
I had do you know Tanis Halliwell, who's a healer from Canada, amazing healer? She's written a whole lot of books about all the elemental worlds and everything. And I've been seeing, those lights that you can buy, they're little tiny lights and they've got little white lights on them.
Oh, they're really cute. Yeah.
I see that running under my eyes all the time. These lights, these white lights that go. And I know it's connected to the energy, like the elemental energies of my body. Yeah, it's amazing, because I was just doing it this morning, like looking at them with my outside eyes, looking at these lights. I was thinking the other day, what do they look like if I was to describe this to somebody? And those little fairy lights that you can buy, they're sort of in a plastic casing, the little, anyway.
They're really cool, those little tiny lights.
Just so cool. So
here's
what are we looking at here?
Okay, so the Ida, the Pinga, and the Shishima. So the Ida and the Pinga are these two currents that cross, and they quantum leap through the core, and then they cross the other direction. So you have yin arising at the front, punching through the core as a quantum leap, and then descending at the back. So yin descending and then coming through at the back, punching through and quantum leaping through the core, and then arising again. So it's a closed circuit of yin, and then yang is descending from the front, at the front, yang descending, and then moving through the core, and then yang ascending at the rear, moving through the core, creating again a closed circuit. So the Ida and the Pinga are two closed circuits that surround the core and support it, and the Shishima is essentially the core, which is it's moving downward and has three spirals, two on the outside that are spiraling in, and one on the inside that is spiraling clockwise. And they're vertical in their spiral. They're not horizontal.
So you saw, before you mapped it and made sense of it, you saw all this happening, or you still see it all happening in everyone.
I still see it all happening.
How do you function if you don't turn it off? Because my psychic awareness, when I go out into the public, I turn it off. Otherwise I'd go mad. Reading everyone's energy field.
I don't know. It's probably because it came about through a physical injury, but I actually cannot turn it off.
You can't.
It is on all the time, and it's just who I am. It's just how I see.
Can you turn it down?
No, I simply understand it now. So when you understand something, it becomes more benign.
Okay.
So it's not aggressive or fear producing or anything.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
simply quiet.
Mhm.
I just see what I see.
I
And so
remember.
every person that I meet, I can see what's going on with them at their soul level. Because
At their
make no
soul.
mistake, this is the soul we're talking about.
Yeah,
This is not anything to do with the physical anatomy. This is the
right.
soul anatomy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's spiritual healing that I do.
It's spiritual healing, absolutely. Yeah. What is the soul? Which was the question I always asked. I'm not really concerned about what the person wants. I want to know what the soul wants. When I was a young healer, I want to know what the soul wants. I kept crying out, I want to know what the soul wants. So I go to that level of understanding. And a lot of the time, people in their ego understanding do not receive the messages from the soul because they're sort of rooted in what the ego wants. Like I had a young girl in a session the other day. How do I manifest more money, more success? Manifest, money. Like the soul's wanting this, the soul's wanting. I don't care about that. How do I manifest?
Well, it's
money.
it's a very childlike approach. It's infantile to be caught in that manifestation thing. And it's a state of being. It's a phase that people go through.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's an important phase because they're realizing at some level, I impact the world. I impact life. Exactly. I want to know how to do it so that I make more money. Yeah. So that's a sort of childlike approach. The ego lives in the electromagnetic field. It is in fact an expression of the electromagnetic field. Is the ego, the id, the persona, the personality. And it only lasts for this lifetime, it goes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you're looking at masters, like, I don't know, you mentioned the Dalai Lama, their field, subtle and electromagnetic, is much, like you say, it's 20, did you say 20 feet up and down and beside us?
Yeah, it's, 20 feet above, 20 feet below 20 feet to the left, 20 feet to the right. And that's like an approximate.
But their field can go like for hundreds, maybe meters, maybe of yards or meters.
Not in their daily life.
But maybe when they're on stage teaching or talking to audiences, or like it expands.
When his teaching, his field expands because he unifies himself with the field of the teachings of the Buddha, and so he becomes a manifestation of that stream of knowledge, and other people do that too. And people can do that negatively. They can do that. They become, awakened to, white supremacist field or something, and then they tune into the power of generations feeling a particular way, and that's a kind of a field.
Mish says, like both of you now. I suspect so, like this is a multitasking exercise. Desda's in her teaching mode and her field has probably gone whoosh like this, and she's probably touching all of you that are listening.
I'm in
to
the sacred anatomy
online
field.
That are listening all over the world, and everybody that will tune into this after the live, you'll still be touching, because I've noticed that when I teach, when I was in my 30s teaching to a small group of people, maybe about a dozen, I had the awareness that I knew what everybody was thinking simultaneously. And I was thinking, oh my God, I know what everybody's thinking. So I'd be talking to someone explaining, and this person over here, I could hear her questions and her, I don't get this, I'm not doing it right. And then that person, I could hear them all talking simultaneously. So when I stepped into teacher mode, my field went woo, and I just sort of connected with everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's what happens. It's why I'm very careful about who I approve to teach my work, because the level of consciousness needs to match the work that they're teaching. So in my book, I have 18 pages of glossary. And one of the things that I've done is redefine things, like, because English is such a strange language. Sanskrit is way better, but we've got English, right? So the word soul, I wanted to read the definition that I have in my book. The soul is pure self-realized intelligence that expresses constantly in the moment, not mind, thought, action, sensation, or emotion. It has deep and abiding purpose to express, and this expression takes the form of individuation, which drives the creation of and the operation of the human energy structure. So there,
Beautiful.
I have audaciously taken words back from religion, spirit, soul.
Mm-hmm.
I took them back.
Yeah, we
Like
need
I
to.
said, I'm a bit of a heretic.
A few years ago, there was a group of us that went to see the Gosford glyphs, which are Egyptian glyphs in just outside of Sydney. And we had a little group of gals, and we were talking about. I had heard that there was this goddess called Sinna, that was a pagan goddess before Christianity.
Yes.
And when the church was formed, they used her name to depict wrongdoing. And she was the goddess of feminine sin. You're a sinner. And so we decided to call ourselves the Sinner Sisters.
I like that. I would have fit right in.
But, like how religion and church has taken words and just flipped their meaning for their own purpose. It's quite astounding, really. So,
well, I mean,
so
the whole
take back
role
those words.
of the Virgin Mary is essentially to be Artemis, so that
Mm-hmm.
so that they could capture the Mediterranean worship of the Artemisian worship. That was who Mary was originally, was like, we're going to steal all these people that worship Artemis, because they were everywhere, from Turkey all the way, to the Straits of Gibraltar. Everybody was worshiping Artemis, and because it was this ancient Greek goddess. And so they brought the idea of the virgin goddess, mother of the savior or the divine, and they brought, that was Artemis right there. Yeah. So when you go to a place like Ephesus, which is supposedly attuned to Mary, and that's where the great palace or the great temple to Artemis was also.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's nothing's new, you know what I mean? Like, all of this stuff is it's been recycled. We're constantly recycling.
Coming back around, exactly. We're moving out of a phase of ignorance back into a phase of coming back into the light. So what can we do? I
like Mary a lot. Yeah, I really do.
What can we do with people?
Artemis?
Yeah. So when you're reading the human energy anatomy field, what most people are thinking about when they're wanting readings or healings is the conditioned thought forms that are sitting in their subconscious, which you can identify in the field, the I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, the lack of confidence, the not feeling powerful and connected, feeling depressed, feeling sad, feeling like they can't have what they want, feeling unloved, feeling alone, all those stories that we come up as humans. Like, you see that, you identify that in the field, and that's what most people are asking about when they're seeking healing, right? So what can we do in a little exercise for people that are online with us now and people that are listening back to the recording, where we can maybe brighten ourselves up a bit?
Well, what you're describing are signatures that are in the electromagnetic field.
Oh, they're in the electromagnetic
that's
field.
Where they live. They live in the electromagnetic field, and it's, I'm not good enough, and
so they would be
the not enoughs, no money, no time.
They would be that they're connected to the ego. Some people vilify the ego as the devil sort of thing. They sit in like the subconscious programming, right? That's in your electromagnetic field.
It's in your electromagnetic field, and the fact of the matter is that we must have strong egos. It's extremely important.
I agree.
You cannot stand in partnership with divine source without an ego.
Right.
You need an ego to do that. Is your ego everything? No. It's just a vehicle, right?
It's just a vehicle.
It's
Yeah.
just a vehicle. And when we deconstruct the sacred anatomy, when we take it apart, we deconstruct sometimes the electromagnetic field, but we're also deconstructing what we think of as life patterns. And those life patterns exist in the layers. They exist in the layers, and they influence the evolutionary development of the human. So who we are in this lifetime is influenced by patterns that we hold in the sacred anatomy that influence the development of the electromagnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And when we deconstruct it, we can release trauma without re-traumatization. Because it's not necessary to process everything. That's another thing that I like I said, I'm a heretic. So I don't believe in needing to always continually process everything. That's yet another way to make us special, you know?
Yeah. And keep you looping too, emotional looping. Shirley says her electromagnetic field keeps kicking her off the live. Keep finding my way back.
The internet has been absolutely nuts for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully I'm not freezing. Last show I did, I looked back on it and I kept freezing. Poor Ginny, who I was talking to, kept looking at me freezing. But unfortunately, my voice maintained, but my internet kept freezing. I didn't see it. Hopefully this is working. If any of us are freezing, please let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
So what can we do as a little exercise? We've got 10 minutes left of the show. What can we do as a 5-minute, 2-minute exercise to like brighten our field, unlock some of the uns?
Well, I think probably severing entanglements is probably the best one for us to do. It's simple, it's easy, straightforward. It doesn't really require a lot of integration at the end, which is important. So as we go through our life, our electromagnetic field, which is this electromagnetic energy, our chi field, spins out little entanglements, and we become entangled like with everything in the world. We become entangled. It's everything I interact with. Now those entanglements dissipate after an hour or so, and the energy returns to your electromagnetic field. But if it doesn't dissipate, you start to form what's called an attachment. So an attachment is an electromagnetic event, and it starts, that's when people talk about being triggered, that's what's happening. They're electromagnetically attached to a person, place, thing, an idea, concept, a belief, an attitude, and those things need to be severed. So we could do that. Does that sound like fun?
Let's do it. It's so funny because we've started a new show on a Wednesday in the States, Thursday here in Australia, of me with a couple of other gals talking, and we're going to talk about attachments this Wednesday. Yeah. And so this is just perfect. Yeah.
So this is entanglements, and entanglements happen before attachments.
Entanglements.
So here's an example. I go to the grocery store. I drive to the grocery store. I have an entanglement with the steering wheel and the car and with the radio that I'm punching. And when I get to the store, I have an entanglement with the neighbor I run into and the meat counter and the vegetable counter, all these things. So I create all these little entanglements. And as long as nothing really happens to trigger me or make me feel anything particular, like I don't have an emotional reaction to the crackers I'm buying, instead, those entanglements dissipate. But if I go to check out and the bag boy puts the tomato sauce on top of the tomatoes and smashes them, I might have an attachment to never going back to the line where that bag boy is. Right?
Never coming back to this shop again.
I'm not going back there.
Never going back again. I've done that during COVID. When nobody had toilet paper, somebody tried to sell me a paper towel for $15, and I went, I'm never coming back to that shop again.
There you go.
Anyway.
So a little bit of an attachment. All right. So
Attachment.
what you're going to do is you're going to reach up and you're going to ask Archangel Michael for his sword. So you want to do this with a lot of focus. So it's Archangel Michael, will you please lend me your sword? And then you wait until you feel it in your hand. This is a really simple exercise. And once you have it in your hand, so let's all do that. Just reach up, ask Archangel Michael to lend you his sword. He has lots of them, by the way. And as soon as you feel it, you've got Archangel Michael's sword in your hand. You're going to sever entanglements at your front. So you say, sever entanglements at my front. And you use the sword to cut through all of them. And you think in terms of your huge energy structure. Whoosh, at my front. So say that now and do it. I sever entanglements.
Do we say it out loud?
Say it out loud. Your structure loves it.
I sever entanglements at my front.
And you slice. All right. I sever entanglements to my left. So do
sever
that.
Entanglements to my left.
I sever entanglements to my right.
To my right. Sever entanglements to my right.
I sever entanglements behind me. And remember, this is Archangel Michael's sword, so it can go behind you. I sever entanglements at my rear.
I sever entanglements at my rear.
And then underneath your feet, I sever entanglements below me.
I sever entanglements below me.
I sever entanglements above me.
I sever entanglements above me.
Now, just in case you missed anything, you're going to take the sword and you're going to make like a figure 8 all around, cutting any extra entanglements. And you say, I sever all entanglement.
It's funny, as I close my eyes, what I'm seeing is rope structures. It's like twisted rope structures of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a thing to sever them all.
Yeah.
So go ahead and say, I sever all remaining entanglements.
I sever all remaining entanglements.
And believe me, nothing that you need is going to get severed.
No.
Now you're going to say,
No.
thank you, Archangel Michael. Here is your sword.
As I'm witnessing it through my third eye, I'm seeing these little rope structures sort of dislodge, disattach, but the energy structure around them is maintained. They're just sort of floating around and moving out.
That's right.
But the energy structure is sort of somewhat similar to the images that you showed us, like this egg type structure is remaining.
So give your sword back.
Yeah.
Say, thank you, Archangel Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. And now you're going to pull your own energy back because you're going around doing the same darn thing. So I pull my energy back at my front.
Pull my energy back at my front.
I pull my energy back to my left.
I pull my energy back to my left.
I pull my energy back to my right.
To my right.
I pull my energy back behind me.
Behind me.
I pull my energy back above me. And I pull my energy back below me.
Below me.
All right. So now you're going to push energy away that's trying to attach to you. So I push entanglements away at my front.
I push entanglements away at my front.
I push entanglements away to my left.
My left. I push entanglements
away at my right.
Right.
I push entanglements away at my rear.
My rear.
I push entanglements away above me.
Above me.
I push entanglements away below me.
Below me.
And that's it. And what that does is it just frees you up to go get more entanglements.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time we interact with anything, whether we're watching a screen.
Yeah.
As you said, interacting with your
I got an entanglement.
Yeah. You're entangled. Your energy is entangled. Even like in flats and houses, because if our energy field is 20 feet, we're already entangled with our neighbors, the people walking past on the street. Like we're constantly entangled with energy fields all the time. We're connected. We're all connected and entangling. And depending on what energy is fixed within our electromagnetic field or subconscious programming, we will form attachments.
That's right.
It's
So
given me new
the key is to be conscious in your interactions. And then you don't form them. And if you learn the edge practice, which you can find out all about from my website, which is www.yoursacredanatomy.com. And I've got all the classes I teach listed, so you can check them out. And the publications, there it is. Thank you.
And all Desda's links for people listening online, there's a link to the website. I put Desda and the other conversations that I've had with Desda on, let me see if that's coming up. Yeah, there she is, the beautiful Desda on the website. And I've got all her links, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Linktree, and the website, Linktree. And you can also purchase the book through our Amazon links, Your Sacred Anatomy. I haven't got the other book on there. And there we are. That's the live from today. And we've got the other conversations we've had over the years.
Oh, look at that. Isn't that something?
Website there for people. Yeah, there you are. 9 years ago.
This was really fun, Karen.
This was really fun. You're amazing. You really are. You're just amazing.
Thank you.
Remove that. We have 5 minutes to go. Anything you'd like to share with people about who they are, being powerful? I have your book. Shirley says she has your book. You must have bought it years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So interesting. Thank you. Fundamental yoga and wellness. Glad you enjoyed it.
I think I want to just say to all of your wonderful listeners and the great folks who have, showed up for today. What I really want to say to them is, don't forget how much power you have. And remember, your own beautiful nature is in harmony at this very moment with all life. And that your spark, your truth is vibrant and powerful. You have nothing to be afraid of. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world, and you have nothing to be afraid of because you have an eternal nature. And you are in tune with that. Excuse me. Bless you.
Yes, I concur. There's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, there's a lot of people, talking about. I wanted to ask you about certain politicians, what you see, but maybe that's for another time. What you see.
Well, I'm happy to tell you what I see.
Yeah, but we've only got 3 minutes left. That's a conversation for another time.
I suggest we get together again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Well, it's so interesting because I've got so many people reaching out to be on the show. And now that I've started the Wednesday show, which is not an interview show, I don't do interviews on the Wednesday show, but I do invite people like you to come on to just sort of like do maybe some mini readings or just, to chit chat. It's not an interview structured show like this. It's more of a conversational show and a question and answer show. I want people to send in their questions.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. So we'll get you back on the Wednesday show. At the moment, it's only an hour show. I might extend it when we change seasons because it's winter. You can see it's winter here in Australia. I'm all rugged up and it's summer over there. But my time changes when the seasons change and I don't have to get up quite so early for the Wednesday show, so I might extend the show. We'll see what happens.
One of the things I do every month is I do a Ask Me Anything show, and so people come in, and that's just once a month, and you find it on my website.
You do. I've seen that on your YouTube. Yeah, you do.
And we post it on the YouTube channel.
You get people on Zoom. Are people on Zoom listening to you? Because you're talking to an audience.
I use the Zoom platform.
Yeah. So our Wednesday show is the same thing. Ask Me Anything show, but you've got me and you've got the girls, Carol Ann and Kristen, and then I'll invite a few healers on.
Sounds like fun.
Like Desda. Yeah, we've just started it. We've only done 2 so far, and so it's a new venture for this year. Darling one, it's been so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. Been wonderful.
It was my absolute pleasure. Karen, you're just a goddess and beautiful, beautiful energy. I love talking to you. And
well, I wish I could see what you could see.
well,
I once asked my guides, I had Jamie Butler on the show who sees spirit as clear as humans. And I said, oh, I want to do that. And my guide said, no, you don't, Karen. And I said, why? And they said, do you know how difficult it would be to navigate this world if you saw spirit as clearly as you see physical humans? And I thought about that and I thought, damn, you're right. It's hard enough to navigate this world just normally, like having those extra sensory perceptions makes it much more challenging to navigate this realm. So I just honor you for all that you do. Yeah.
I welcome emails and comments, and people can write to me or whatever.
It's been fun.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, everyone.
Lovely time.
Thank you. Beautiful one. Big love, and big love to all of you. I think next week I might do a recording because I've got some work happening at the house and there's going to be lots of noise. So I might upload a recording for the show, but lots of fabulous people. We're booked out for the interview shows till the end of the year with some amazing people coming on the show. I've got Gary Zukroff, who was a spiritual teacher who was on Oprah years ago.
Gary's awesome.
Yeah, he's coming on soon. And who else? And another animal communicator, Penelope, and Sue Walker is going to come back on with Kevin. Lots of fabulous things happening. Thanks, everybody. It's been a blast. Catch you next time. Remember to subscribe and let me know what you think about this show in the comments. If you're watching the show afterwards, I'm always grateful to hear what you think. Thanks, Thirsty. Big love to all of you. Bye for now.